my computer. Okay. We're going. We're live.
I don't see a record thing.
Okay, but we are.
Mine's just white. All right. Welcome to episode number 278 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. You can find us online. Just search for us, Beyond Social Media Show. We're recording on August 2, 2019. Plenty of things to talk about this week as usual, including brand food fight, ambassador employees, gesture control, Oakland A's PR investment, love emojis, great automatic advertizator, chronic classes, Insta-Rich, 126 million, the great hack, and the great renaming. BL kicks it off with the best story of the week. As usual, BL, what do you got?
I got a brand food fight that is really big fun. I guess that, who knew that there's going to be mustard-flavored ice cream, the perfect thing to put on your hot dog-flavored ice cream. So here's what happened. French's Mustard, America's largest mustard maker, teamed up with the ice cream company Cool House, who makes really great ice cream, to create, for some reason, mustard ice cream that will only be available this weekend. And so French's tweeted, "I scream, you scream. We all scream for mustard ice cream. Yes, and it's delicious." We partnered with Cool House, so it's only this weekend. And not to be outdone, Oscar Mayer responded to that tweet, and they said, "Who eats just mustard, French's? Condiments were made for Oscar Mayer hot dogs. Say hello to the Oscar Mayer hot dog ice cream sandwich. Hot dog flavored ice cream made with our better hot dogs, sandwiched with spicy mustard." And then they had a poll. Do you want to try this? It's coming in August. And so far, only 27% of the 49 people who voted actually won a hot dog flavored ice cream sandwich, amazingly enough. But anyway, I love when brands have fun like that. And when they respond to each other in such silly ways. And what a good way to have some fun.
It is a good way to have some fun. I don't know about eating that.
God
that
forbid.
Would be very fun, but yeah, not so good. So I had a lot of fun this week. Yesterday, in fact, I spent the day at the Minnesota Vikings training camp, and obviously, as a huge fan, it was a great deal of fun for me. Thanks to my friend Rick, who got me in with his insider connections. So for most of the team's history, the Vikings have held their training camp in Mankato, Minnesota, which is about an hour and a half drive from the Twin Cities. A year ago, they opened up a state-of-the-art headquarters and training facility in Eagan, Minnesota, which is a suburb of the Twin Cities and is about equal driving distance between Minneapolis and St. Paul. So a more central location for fans to come and see training camp. And they spared no expenses. This is really a state-of-the-art facility. It's their headquarters, it's their training facility, and it is a entertainment destination for Vikings fans. And so I was I was one of them. Fans can buy tickets to training camp, and basically it's watching practice. There's a lot of other things to do, but really it's watching practice. The campus is like 277 square feet or whatever. It's a pretty big campus. It includes a team headquarters, their training facility, practice fields, a stadium, Vikings Village. It has concessions and a bar. There's a sports locker, retail outlet where you can buy jerseys and Viking stuff. And then they've got a hotel under construction. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually there's a Disney World here as well, because the owners are developers, so they're clearly developing. Anyway, on campus is also a history museum of the team. It covers the team's existence since 1961. Among the highlights are exhibits for each Vikings inductee into the NFL Hall of Fame. And they have a presentation, an exhibit for each player that includes a metal football that has the player's handprint imprinted on the ball, so fans can place their hand on the handprint to see how their hand size compares with that of the players. surprisingly enough, most of the players' hands aren't really that big. You'd think they were, being athletes and everything, but they're not. It's an interesting interactive part of the exhibit. They've got the architectural model of the Vikings' new stadium, US Bank Stadium. They've got a promotional effort from 1961 where the team recorded an album. It's like a 45 album that includes voices of the players and the team's official song, Skol Vikings. But the highlight of the day was not a deliberately designed experience. You know, they clearly created this experience for fans, but this was something spontaneously created by an employee. So after the team was done practicing, second-year wide receiver Brandon Zylstra, who's a Minnesota kid, who may or may not make the team. He's kind of on the margins of making the team this year. He started playing catch with the fans. So after practice, he started throwing the ball into the stands for fans to catch and throw back to him. Created a delightful, lifelong memory for every fan that he threw to, and then a lot of appreciation from everybody who was in the stands. He received a standing ovation from all the fans in the stands when he was done. But that's the very definition of an employee ambassador, an ambassador employee who's just taking upon himself to create a great experience for their customers, who are the fans. So I was just amazed. That was the highlight of my experience, watching him throw the ball and play catch with the fans in the stands.
I'm sure you were like a kid in a candy store. You being the biggest fan that the Minnesota Vikings ever had. I mean, I know that because I know you for such a long time, and I know that if I ever want to talk to you when there's a Vikings game on, I better forget about it. So we've talked a lot about how computing ought to be something we don't have to think about to make it work. And in the Pixel 4 smartphone that's coming out this fall, Google has a chip called Soli, and that eventually is going to allow power gestures with our hands to control without keyboards the things that we use. So the last revolutionary development in smartphones was really when Apple came up with the touchscreen. Nothing really major about phones has changed since then. So now Google has a screen that you don't have to touch. You just gesture at it with your fingers and your hands. And the Pixel 4, I don't know how much it's going to cost, but it'll come this fall. And you pinch your fingers or you wave your hand, and you never have to touch the phone. And they call this motion sense. And there's a teaser video where this woman is unlocking the phone with a blink, and she is waving her hand to change songs in a playlist. And the video is only a few seconds long, but like Steve Jobs said when he described the original iPhone, it looks like it works like magic.
Well, we have talked about the evolution of technology over the years, and how technology is becoming more and more effortless. We've got voice activation now, and now gesture control and everything. So back in the day, I read an article called Ubiquitous Computing. This was written by some computer scientists in the 90s who are talking about the goal is for computing technology to become invisible. It's just there and you use it. And that's kind of where we're headed.
Well, that's definitely a step in the right direction from Google. Yeah, and that Pixel phone just sounds so great. You know, I just am concerned that it wouldn't sync with my Mac stuff. So when they figure that out.
That would be Mac's fault. So I'm all about sports this week. This is a story from Scott Gleason of the USA Today, who writes about, so there are some baseball parks that have radar guns set up for fans to measure how fast they can throw, how fast they can throw a ball. I did it once at some fair, and embarrassingly topped out at 43 miles per hour. That's not very fast. So they've got these, and they're fun to do. So there's this baseball fan named Nathan P. Patterson who hit 96 miles per hour at a Nashville Sounds game. The Nashville Sounds are an Oakland A's AAA affiliate. That's Major League Baseball power. That's super fast. That's where your closers have 96 mile per hour speed with their fastballs. So Patterson had played high school basketball, but never pursued it in baseball. But never pursued it in college, but then started taking it seriously again last August. But he was injured in a car accident in December, needed surgery. So that set him back, but he kept up his training, rehabilitation, stayed sharp by playing in a recreation baseball league. And then last month, he lit it up again on a speed pitch radar booth at Coors Field in Colorado while attending a game with his brother, and hit 96 miles per hour again on that. So he caught the attention of the Major League Baseball team. On Thursday, the Oakland A's signed him to a contract with the club. So according to PayScale, the average salary of a minor league baseball player is $25,000 a year. Not a lot. They pay for room and board and everything, but $25,000 a year. If this guy advances and gets into the major leagues, that is a PR investment on behalf of the A's, because they can tell his story throughout his journey through the minor leagues till he gets to the major leagues. And that $25,000 salary will pay off in public relations many times over. So good, just PR gambit, if nothing else, if the guy doesn't work out.
Well, I think last week, was it, that one of the Yankees got hit in the jaw with a 120-mile-an-hour softball? Pitch, not softball, hardball. And he played the rest of the game. That's the amazing part.
Yeah, it's probably not 120 miles an hour. He probably would break his jaw. But 100, it could happen. It hurt.
You could see that it hurt. No, but he eventually left, but he kept playing for a while. So I have a fun one. Emojis are now a fixture of the entire global lexicon. And so this is from an Adweek story by Mary Swan. And this is amazing. 10 billion emojis were sent worldwide every single day in 2018. And it's scientifically proven that when you look at a smiley face online, your brain reacts similarly to how it reacts to a real human face, and consequently improves our mood. And we may even smile back. Brands are in on it. You can order Domino's by texting a pizza emoji. Disney has a Told by Emoji series, and brands want to get consumer attention in fun ways with emojis. So over half, 58% of emoji users say they're more likely to open an email from a brand that has an emoji in the subject line. Nearly half say they're likely to purchase products advertised using emojis, and surprisingly, 64% are willing to make a purchase with an emoji, most likely for meals or movie tickets or clothing. But that I found that really fascinating. And so Adobe did a survey of what people think the greatest benefit of emojis are, and 94% said emojis can communicate across language barriers, which is absolutely true. And 65% said they're more comfortable expressing their emotions with emojis than they are in a phone call. But of course, who makes phone calls? I think like for most young people, they're like, this thing can make a call. But anyway, this is especially true for 83% of Generation Z people, who are now the largest population group. And last month, a city in Belgium called Ostend started using Zemojis, which means sea emojis, as markers along their beach. Like they have a poop emoji where the bathroom is, and they have places. They have a smile, they have a heart, they have a poop. So I'll put a link to the survey. It's really kind of fun. And I thought that was a fun survey for them to do. And what interesting, but that's so true about them crossing language barriers. If you have a picture. Yeah. And I have found that the open rate is higher when I have emojis in emails.
There you go. So this can be in worst or best. I'm putting in best, but it's my last of the best. So if we want to accidentally slide it over into worst, we can do that. It's in Ad Age article by Adrian Pasquarelli. And Roald Dahl, the author of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, has written or wrote in the 50s one of my favorite short stories. It's titled The Great Automatic Grammatizator. And it is about a machine that's created that writes fiction. And it puts writers out of work, basically.
Well, we talked about this last week.
Did we?
Well, we talked about not about this, but about the software that can write anything that they didn't release.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So that was the software they haven't released, but this is a service that you can buy. This is Chase Bank announced this week that they have signed a 5-year deal with a company called Persado. They're a New York-based company that applies artificial intelligence to marketing creative. So here's this is the where it could be in the worst. Chase began testing a pilot 3 years ago using Prasado's tools for its card and mortgage business. And they created ads by Prasado's machine learning that performed better than ads written by humans with a higher percentage of consumers clicking on them. More than twice as many in some cases. So the difference can be as simple as what word choice resonates with consumers. They provided a couple of advantages. So one example of a digital ad that was written by humans that read, access cash from the equity in your home. And that's compared with Prasado's version, which read, it's true, you can unlock cash from equity in your home, which performed better with customers. And it sounds like it would. It's more natural. It's true. You can unlock cash from the equity in your home compared to the human written one, access cash from equity in your home. And I think what happens there is that we get tunnel vision and use access cash is something that is a word a corporation would use, right? So I found this fascinating and put it in good simply because it really kind of illustrated for me kind of the tunnel vision that professionals can get into by using sort of corporate language, and how the machine learning, the AI kind of broke that, and I don't know how they came up with it, but there you go. So
that's scary, but I have what our next careers can be. Universities, this is from a court story by Michelle Chang, and several universities, if you're wondering about the career of the future, have a degree in weed, cannabis. So apparently there's a big shortage of qualified labor in the $14 billion global market for legal marijuana. It's not that there's a shortage of applicants, because who wouldn't really want to work in a marijuana company, but there's qualified applicants. So Cornell has courses, but the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy has announced a master's program in medical cannabis science and therapeutics. And in Canada, which last year became the second country in the world to legalize weed nationwide, McGill University is going to offer a graduate degree in cannabis production starting in 2020. The legal marijuana market is valued at $13.8 billion last year, expected to be worth $66.3 billion by 2025, according to this research firm Grandview Research. Data from JobSite Indeed shows that postings for cannabis jobs more than quadrupled since 2016, when there were about 300 posts per million for cannabis jobs. Now there are 1,000 posts per million in 2019. So if you want to go back to school, kiddos, that's the degree to get.
I guess it doesn't surprise me that there would be openings for pharmaceutical related chemistry related jobs for the cannabis industry. What does surprise me is there would be any openings for the agronomy aspect of it. I imagine there's a lot of people who know a lot about that.
Well, I'm sure there are, and there are also a lot of people who know a lot about therapeutic use of marijuana, but you have to get the degree to have the real credibility in the marketplace.
I guess so.
So, hey, I wouldn't mind getting a master in weed.
I mean, well, I'm done with the good stories.
Oh, you are, huh? Okay. Well, you want to give us one of your bad ones?
I will. This is a rant.
A rant. Oh,
yes. So whenever I see media reports covering the Russian attack on our presidential elections last time, they are always citing 126, the number 126 million people that saw Russian paid ads that were paid for by Putin. And what they don't do, and this is the rant part of it, what they don't do is the media does not qualify that number by pointing out that it was provided by Facebook itself. Facebook's self-reported number of 126 million people who had potentially seen an ad paid for by Putin. You need to consider that that's Facebook's provided number. They have a massive incentive to keep that number as low as possible, to underreport that number, because bigger numbers are worse for them. So the number of Americans who saw Russian propaganda during the last presidential election, I suspect, is likely far higher than 126 million that's always cited by the media.
Exponentially, I'm sure you're right.
Yeah, and rant.
Yeah, so no, that was a worthwhile rant. So there's a new listing that shows how much celebrities and influencers make per sponsored post. And yeah, some of them make $1 million per post on Instagram. This is from Social Media Today. It's by Andrew Hutchinson. And whether you like it or not, I mean, cannabis worker is a job title, and so is influencer. And it can be very lucrative and very beneficial. It's a business. But how much are these people really getting paid? The bottom line is they earn what somebody's willing to pay. So a report from the team at Hopper wanted to find out, to provide context for the influencer marketing space. Hopper conducted research on exactly what it would cost to get a sponsored post on feeds in well-known Instagrammers. And the biggest of the big names are, in fact, charging about $1 million a post. That's for one single image, one single update in which Kylie Jenner holds up your product. And depending on the product, it may be worth more. The exposure that she can bring to your brand could actually result in sales. So Kylie Jenner has 139.2 million followers and earns $1.2 million per post. And she has a net worth of $1 billion. Adam Gallagher, who's number 100 on the list, has a mere 2 million followers and a net worth of $800,000, and he only earns $8,400 a post. That's one post, one picture, holding one product, or saying something about it in the hashtags. And so I think that we all need to go back to school and get a weed degree, because this is getting ridiculous.
So the investment in all those fake followers paid off, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, exactly. They're paying for the followers. So I have another one. Do you?
Yeah, I do. So while we're on about Facebook-owned properties, let's talk some more about it. This is from Alex Heath at The Information, who reports that Facebook is planning a great renaming. So they are sick and tired of people not knowing that Instagram and WhatsApp are owned by Facebook. So they are planning on renaming both apps to, get this, Instagram from Facebook and WhatsApp from Facebook.
Oh, a lot of people are going to use those.
Oh my God, that's so stupid.
Yeah, really? Okay, well, I imagine that, if you were a fly on the wall in that meeting, you might understand why they would think that was a worthwhile thing to do. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. But speaking about Facebook, there's a Netflix video that's a look at the very dark world of the Cambridge Analytica Facebook scandal data hack. And it's just an absolutely horrifying view by people who are on both sides of the issue in Cambridge Analytica and Facebook. And it's well worth your time to watch. Yeah, scary as hell.
That's on my list of must watches. I've been on about that forever, so I do want to take a look at it, see if I learned something new. I have been following
I think there might be something new from the woman who worked for Cambridge Analytica talking.
Okay.
I
will watch that. I don't have any more.
Okay, so on to shiny objects.
What do you
I
got?
have one that will be of more use to you because you use Photoshop, but it's a great one. It's called Humans, Humaans, and it's a free library, and it has mix and match illustrations of people, and you can customize their positions and their clothing and their color and their hairstyle, and you can add scenes, and you can use. They have a whole library with thousands of images that you can, mix and match and create. And it's available for InVision Studio and Sketch, neither of which I know how to use, but it sure sounds great, and it's free.
Sounds very cool. I will have to check it out. This is also very cool. This is a demographics.io. Is that demographics.io? How are you supposed to pronounce those startup names with the IO at the end of
I'm
them?
not sure.
Okay, so let's call it Demographics EO because I like that. This is a free search demographics tool. You type in a keyword and get the age and gender breakdown of the searchers who are searching for that keyword. It creates graphs that illustrates those breakdowns. I did a couple of tests on it just to get some examples of the data it spits out. For marketing, 57% are male that are searching for marketing, and 42% are female. For advertising, 48% are male and 52% female. For public relations, 31% male and 69% female. And social media is 42% male and 58% female. So interesting kind of. I assume there. I was looking and I couldn't find out any citations of where they're getting the data. I'm assuming it's from Google AdWords data because Google does provide this kind of data with their searches, so that's likely where it's coming from. But it's a starting point, so it's another piece of data that you can use to help identify who your audience is as you're building your marketing personas and everything. It's pretty cool.
And it's free.
And that's free. Yep.
So that brings us to your daily numbers, Dave.
It does. So this is Digital Nevers. This is from Pew Research. 1 in 10 adults, American adults, are not online. So people who are not online, who are these strange people?
I don't know
Who
any.
are not online.
The only one I know who's not is 97 years old.
Yeah, well, my dad was one. He would put him in front of the computer and try and show him how to use a web browser. He's like, no, it's not going to happen.
My dad's going to be 92, and he's got an iPad, and he just loves it. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I did have my mom my mom was a computer user, and I had her using an iPad. So, but not surprisingly, the older you are, the more likely you're to be a digital never. 27% of the people who are digital nevers are 65 and plus. 12% are 50 to 64. 3% are 30 to 49. So the younger you get, the more likely you're to use the internet. The older you get, the less likely you are. Household income less than $30,000 a year, 18%. So the less you make, the more likely you're not use the internet. Your high school education, less than a high school education, the more likely you're to be a digital never. Rural, you're more likely to be a digital never, and men and women are kind of roughly the same. If you're Black, you're more likely to be a digital never. Hispanic, you are. And white's not as much so. So there you go. Digital demographic breakdown of digital nevers. We'll put a chart in the show notes so you can take a look at that.
Are we talking about using a computer or using or not accessing the internet?
Not accessing the internet, yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, because most people can do it on their phone, and they still don't.
Yeah, but you also have to have a smartphone. And you know how many old people hang on to their flip phones?
Yes, I do. I certainly do. I have a sister-in-law who has a flip phone. She says, I'm perfectly happy with it. Why should I change? Yeah. But I hope that I never reach a time in my life when I say, oh, that newfangled stuff, I don't want to know about that. I can't learn about it fast enough. Yeah. You know, I mean, what happens to your brain if you stop accepting new technology? I think it just sort of shrinks.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm grateful that, you know, I mean, you are a far more advanced geek than me, But, I'm a geek girl compared to a lot of people I know.
Yeah, no, I often wonder though. I mean, am I going to be like that when I get older? Am I going
God
to
forbid,
decide
Dave.
that that's just too much for me? I'm not going to do that.
Well, how old would you have to be? I mean, I'd have to be awfully old.
Yeah.
I am awfully old, but I'd have to be much older. Anyway, that brings that brings us to the end of episode 278 of the Beyond Social Media Show. You find us by searching Beyond Social Media Show or asking your home speaker thingy to find it. Just say play Beyond Social Media Show and it will. You can listen to all of the shows on our blog, BeyondSocialMediaShow.com. You'll find this one with the show notes, BeyondSocialMediaShow.com/278. We would love for you to let us know what you think, and we would really adore you to leave us a review on iTunes. So I'm here with David Erickson, and David is on Twitter as D. Erickson. He's on Instagram as D.E. Erickson. He blogs at eStrategyBlog.com, and he's at eStrategy on YouTube. I'm BL Ochman. I'm What's Next on Twitter. I blog at what'snextblog.com. I'm on YouTube as What's Next Blog. The show, BeyondSocialMediaShow.com, and we're on Twitter at BS Media Show. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere you are, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for watching too.